Hey, how's it going? Harris, Web3 developer, previously worked in the Web2 space, currently working on cross-chain payments and technologies, as well as had previously done some secure communication and other peer-to-peer network stuff. I also help run the ETH Melbourne, which is a developer-focused community and monthly meetup in Melbourne, Australia. I guess so back in the early 2016-17 era, I was working in a startup that was like social network where a lot of our users were like all across the world, and we were trying to look for a way to sort of enable like borderless kind of payments, as well as like a way to reward our users for spending money in our app in sort of the lowest friction way possible. A lot of the previous kind of solutions that we could have used in the Web2 space required a lot of like upfront capital, which is like a small startup was not really going to happen for us. And it was also coincidentally in the era of like the original ICO boom. So we kind of like looked into that, and thankfully at the same time in Brisbane, Consensus was running like a lot of weekly lunchtime developer meetups where I sort of got to look at the actual technology and like how to implement a lot of the things that we were looking at. Since then, I just kind of followed through with the Web3, developer peer-to-peer and how everything sort of works from a fundamental level. And we didn't actually end up doing a lot of the initial plans we had at that startup, just because ETH mainnet was like the only thing, and it was like $0.50 to potentially more for for doing transactions at the time. But yeah, it got me really into the developer-focused community and the technology that was sort of underlying everything, without all of the like hype and price talk that you might have in some other spaces. So it's good. So like ETH Melbourne was kind of born out of the same mindset from that like Consensus builder meetup. Started just after like COVID and everything kind of like quieted down. There were a few other communities that were like kind of Web3 oriented or like focused on the technology and maybe sometimes the markets. But my friend who had just come back to Australia was looking to start up a meetup because some of the more developer focused ones had either not survived during COVID when people couldn't go out and talk and meet up and everything, or they'd just gone to like other places as well and sort of pursuing new products or developments and stuff like that. We wanted to make like a builder focused community in Melbourne, and we run in-person monthly meetups, or try to run, and as well as have like an online community with people all over the world. There's like Web3 developers, there's like people that are just so across every market ever, contributing to conversations and finding new things to look into, as well as like security professionals. And we've had talks from people that build the tooling that other developers use to like run through the entire architecture of like a product, as well as like some of the bigger like security hacks and sort of like postmortems as well that they've personally done. So yeah, it's been pretty cool. But I think as Australia is a pretty small community, especially around like developers, and sort of like trying to find people to come 8-12 plus hours into to sort of give a talk in person is very hard. So that's probably our biggest challenge for the moment. I guess in 2026, I think there's a lot of potential for not only like a lot of the cross-chain like L2 type stuff, but also like unifying liquidity. And there's a lot of problems there that are being solved in one way or another, or have potential solutions that I think are really interesting to tackle. So I think there's going to be a lot of like larger scale problems and solutions that come out in the next few years that would be pretty cool to contribute to. Like how do you confirm transactions happening somewhere that you don't control, or like whether it's like some sort of ZK proof or something like that, which is also pretty emergent technology that looks like is actually being used a lot more now that things are cheaper to run or kind of like baked into the protocols in some way. Yeah, I think for me as well personally, I would like to do a lot more like open source contributions and solve some of my own problems that I come out of not having enough time to solve them. And for ETH Melbourne as well, I would like to do a lot more online stuff, just because it is so tough to like find people to come all the way in person and do things. And when you do, it's usually a really rewarding experience. So I would like to go and see some other communities as well, just because I think a lot of different places in the world have a lot of different solutions around, digital payments and sort of like technologies that they use for that. Like even in Vietnam, for instance, like the landscape of paying for things digitally, like through a bank or whatever, is so much different to Australia that it's like you can always get like a lot of new ideas or look for a lot of like solutions that wouldn't work in one place that might work in another place, for example. So yeah, it's really interesting and eye-opening experience, I guess, to see those different communities and how they operate. And then of course DevCon next year will be, I think, a good grounding moment to get back and see everyone and what we've been doing for the past like sort of 2 years.